Hi, this is Lee Jasper's Drive Time program. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, press the bell if you want to be notified of future videos. Nice to see you. We're here in Parliament Square as we gather for the Extinction Rebellion event. Here, I have to say, I'm a man of a certain age. I am enormously proud of the efforts of young people from right across the country who have, for the last 4 days, from April the 11th to the 14th, occupied central London, making the point about the necessity for urgent and radical climate change. And being inspired by young people from all over the world, they're wishing to hold our politicians to account, to say, why is it we're living in such a toxic environment? So we're going to be talking to protesters, we're going to be talking to people about climate change. We're going to have a great program. Stay with us, you're going to enjoy this. Lee Jasper. Hi, my name's Lee Jasper. This is Brixton, London, and you're watching Lee Jasper Drive Time.
People have not woken up to the drama of the last 200 years, right? People are on their day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month lives, of course. But actually, as a collective, humanity needs to see these things on much longer geologic timescales. Think about how long have we lived like this? As in, how long have humans lived? Two things here. There's obviously the absolute things you can measure of temperatures, average temperatures that are changing, rate of ice cap melt, rate of glacier melt. All those things you can measure. But I think also just looking at the anthropology of it, right? So, 10, 20,000 years of human history, broadly agricultural, pre-industrial revolution, still growing a lot. But then in that last 200 years, the amount of land use, the amount of emissions, the general impact, the amount of resource use, these have exploded. It's really, really, if you look on that long term, like 20, 30, 40, 50,000 year timescale, the curves, all the curves are just so dramatic. It's like this sudden explosion of human success, which is fantastic. It's what gives us everything in this square and this city and our phones on the internet. But at what cost? Two things here. There's obviously the absolute things you can measure of temperatures, average temperatures that are changing, rate of ice cap melt, rate of glacier melt. All those things you can measure. But I think also just looking at the anthropology of it, right? So, 10, 20,000 years of human history, broadly agricultural, pre-industrial revolution, still growing a lot. But then in that last 200 years, the amount of land use, the amount of emissions, the general impact, the amount of resource use, these have exploded. It's really, really, if you look on that long term, like 20, 30, 40, 50,000 year timescale, the curves, all the curves are just so dramatic. It's like this sudden explosion of human success, which is fantastic. It's what gives us everything in this square and this city and our phones on the internet. But at what cost?
But he wants to call a People's Assembly, and so that we can have more direct influence on our politicians and on our climate change. I think he's made a great articulation for the case. Well, let's hear what others have to say.
The emphasis is on us looking at each other and how we got into this mess in the first place. And I think the way in which I've been here, this is the third day now, and within Parliament Square. I haven't been to any of the other sites, but reports are similar from people working at the other sites, that the reaction from people we're talking to is largely, overwhelmingly positive. And I think it's come at a time where people are calling out for a way forward, and people are disappointed that the government has done nothing. And most ordinary people are concerned about the future. It's what it is to be human. We all look to the future. Many people have children, grandchildren, or have friends and families with children. And it's natural that we look ahead and realise the government have done nothing, in fact are doing less than nothing, thwarting attempts to move towards a more sustainable way of living. And I think the time is right for this movement. So the interest is really strong and positive. And in fact, loads of people are just coming down to the different sites. We had some people last night at the roadblock I was on. They came after work. We want to do something. What can we do? We're here to help. Ordinary people like me and you, just ordinary people turning up and asking what they can do. It's incredible. It's really catching on. We function together and we're encouraged to express our care and our concern and our love for each other and the planet. It's really a significant part of what's gone wrong. And so within XR, I think that's a very attractive element. So it's a warm, accepting and open movement, which basically accepts anyone, whatever they can bring to the movement. So, yeah, it's incredible. I've never been involved with anything like it.
Now, it's all in the name of peaceful protest, but I can't help imagine that if black and Muslim communities had decided to hold 4 days of demonstration blocking roads in central London, the wonderful carnivalesque atmosphere here with officers in relaxed mode, with nobody seemingly under pressure to stop the demonstration, I don't think that would be extended to us. So the accusations that in some senses we're witnessing, even with the glorious objective of climate change, which I am 100% in agreement with, nevertheless, differential policing of demonstrations can't help but be commented on by me. I'm going to talk to Helen, who's all the way from Tring in Hertfordshire. I'm a Mancunian, so I don't know anything past Watford South. It's near Watford. I got it in my mind. And she's part of the Extinction Rebellion effort today. She's here supporting the objectives. Are you a rebel for life?
Yes.
That's what we like, revolutionary talk.
The world is struggling. Everyone's going to feel the impact. The sooner we act, the better. So I'm here for future generations. The sooner we make something happen, the better.
I mean, we heard on the radio this morning some complete douchebag saying, oh, you know, these rich, privileged little kids, they, you know, carry mobile phones, coltan chips in their phone and go to McDonald's and, you know, go on demonstrations. It's all part of the sort of left chic, which is empty, you know, and vacuous. How do you respond to that kind of accusation?
I think a lot of people here are conscious. They are vegan. They do what they can in their lives. Our main goal here is talking about system changes and changing the 1% who are causing this rather than individuals' behaviours. If we can cause system changes, then the everyday privileged lifestyle we can have can be more sustainable. Definitely need a revolutionary change. Exactly what it would be politically, I don't really know, but something needs to change.
So you're up for change, so when the call comes, we can expect to see you there.
Definitely.
Well, people, this is what democracy looks like. We've taken over the whole street, the whole square for 4 days throughout London. Climate change protesters have been blocking off squares, roads, avenues and transport systems. And it's been an absolute delight being here today. I'm really inspired by the fact that so many young people have taken the time to come out and protest over climate change. The most existential threat threatening humanity as a whole is climate change. And the fact of the matter is that free market economies, constitutional democracies like Parliament seem to be incapable of responding to the climate change crisis with sufficient resource, priority and energy. So we've got to, as we have here today, join with young people, join with families to make the climate change point that the clock is ticking on how long we've got to save the planet. This is Lee Jasper Drive Time, right here in Parliament Square, London.
Build high, build wide your prison wall, so there be room enough for all to hold you in contempt. Build wide, so all the land is locked inside. Though you have seized the valiant few, whose glory casts a shade on you,